XRP is currently on a correction, which shows that the coin will soon have a solid bullish trend. Guys, as we all know, over the years, the US dollar and other currencies have been going down in value. I mean, what could you buy for $1 like 5 years ago? It's now more expensive than that. But imagine what's happening in the crypto market. Now you can easily go to the store and buy a brand new Tesla with Bitcoins, and XRP is on its way to the top. What's up, guys? Welcome to Moneyside. Thanks for all the love you've been showing us in the comments section, and if this is your first time, hit that subscribe button, and let's make some money together. As I said in my previous videos, XRP is a fiat embracer and will likely bring in a new ecosystem balance that could be brighter than what Bitcoin offers. Bitcoin is essentially anti-fiat. That's because the reason why Bitcoin gained its name was through the decentralization nature of cryptocurrencies. But today, the crypto market has evolved to a platform that's more than just the decentralized network. We now have incredible solutions formed in blockchain technology that has surpassed Bitcoin. And if we put that into a vivid picture, altcoins might survive longer in the market than Bitcoin. That includes XRP. However, being the first cryptocurrency in the market, Bitcoin will likely be the gold of the crypto world. This coin's price will keep soaring to the top even though it's against fiat currencies. Thankfully, the crypto market now involves various altcoins that can help bridge the gap between crypto and fiat. That's where XRP comes in. Ripple Labs and XRP were on their way to becoming the largest fiat crypto adopter network with support from the world's central banks. But that was halted due to the SEC lawsuit. Speaking of the SEC, let's take a look at the updates of the recent court proceedings. Let me orient you about how this lawsuit is going. The SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple, and we are currently in the second tier of the activities in the court. What is happening right now is that Garlinghouse and Larson have filed a motion to dismiss the case against them. However, that will be pending and won't be decided for at least a month or so. We are now in the phase of discoveries and discovery battles that will technically last up to around June or July. And if this section goes on, the discovery battles will go all the way to August. I made a previous video that details why the SEC claims that the Ripple Labs are harassing them. Personally, I still think the SEC is trying to conceal documents that could hold vital information in this case. Finally, the case will reach the summary judgment soon, and that's where the judge will decide who wins the case. As of current news, Ripple seems to be ahead of the case. On the 30th of April, there was a surge of listeners to the court case. And guys, the call maxed out at 4,000 listeners, according to attorney Jeremy Hogan. Imagine that. I told you guys that the XRP gang is growing by the minute. This is a clear indicator of that. We might be driving pressure to this court case, and Judge Netburn has already started to feel it. They will have to increase the maximum number of listeners to 10,000. The hearing was all about the discovery battles and the MOUs sent by the SEC to different governments and reach out to Ripple partners. That was a bit of a stretch for the SEC since it goes beyond the Commission's jurisdiction. The whole court case was about Ripple challenging this idea and claiming that the SEC should back down. However, Judge Netburn said that even though the foreign partners have to comply with their government requests, the specific government doesn't have to comply with the SEC's request. Well, that was not the best start for Ripple in the case. Anyway, Ripple technically caught the SEC sending their MOUs without declaring their intentions to the court. The SEC lawyers went on to say that they'll be requesting assistance, which sounds absurd, for lack of a better word. We'll have to wait and see what happens next in the court case. Brad Garlinghouse in his interview says that he doesn't have any issues with the SEC, but how they conduct their claim against Ripple and the case. He says people don't have an issue with Bitcoin being decentralized, but XRP's decentralization. From his perspective, once everyone understands how the XRP ledger works, they'll understand how XRP is decentralized. Above all, Brad admits that the whole world has graded XRP as not a security. Different regulatory bodies can attest to the fact that this crypto is not a security, but the current proceeding of the SEC's lawsuit is now affecting the roadmap of Ripple. Brad says that every time he walks into a partnering company, they are always a bit skeptical to partner with Ripple because of the SEC. That is really affecting how this coin is moving forward, and it could have long-lasting ramifications on its future. Additionally, Garlinghouse says that the U.S. is already behind the 5G technology, but supporting cryptos, including XRP, could put the U.S. back on the map. If this continues, the Chinese will likely be ahead of the U.S. because of their adoption process. What's next for XRP? If the ruling goes against Ripple Labs, Garlinghouse says many of their administrative processes in the U.S. will still continue. Still, they will need to have a brokerage license moving forward, but that will only affect their U.S. business. However, Ripple Labs will no longer be a U.S. taxpayer business, and XRP will continue to operate outside the business. That said, buying XRP is still a worthwhile investment no matter how the court case goes. Brad admits that close to 90% of XRP traders belong outside the U.S. Let's take a look at the technical analysis. We're looking at the 4-hour time frame perspectives. Since the origin analysis, XRP rightly completed the inverse head and shoulder formation and showed properly up with a bullish breakout above the neckline. Now XRP is about to confirm this breakout with a pullback to the breakout origin from where it can set up for the further continuations to the upside. This is likely to happen when XRP bounces in the final breakout validation setup as seen in my chart. The targets measured at the 1.955 level are fully active now, and XRP has solid potentials to reach them within the next times. After these are reached, it has to be elevated how XRP reacts in these zones. If we look at the fundamentals are always strong on XRP. In addition, more than a cryptocurrency, it is the blockchain application behind Ripple that is of interest to many players in the bank assurance industry. Although Ripple has some competitors, its efficiency and current market position gives it a central place in the cryptocurrency industry. For example, at the start of 2021, the number of transactions carried out on average each month represents more than $100 billion. Its partnership with solid and influential companies and financial institutions whose positive reputation reflects on the Ripple is an undeniable plus. Thus, despite some scandals, XRP retains its attractiveness. Recall that in December 2020, the SEC accused Ripple of having issued unlicensed securities. Indeed, the SEC criticized Ripple for not registering XRP as a security. This SEC accusation led to a collapse in the price of Ripple, of which individuals were the first victims. Ripple has, however, proved its resilience, as evidenced by the rise in Ripple prices since then, demonstrating Ripple's ability to maintain its position as a first-rate virtual currency over time. Please keep in mind, we're not a licensed financial advisor. All the videos on this channel are intended for entertainment purposes only. Tell us what you think in the comment section below and let's have a conversation. Thanks as always for watching. Don't forget to like this video and to click on the subscribe button below. Make sure you turn on notifications so that you get informed whenever we post our amazing content. And we'll look forward to seeing you in our next video.